And a good morning to you. How about this? 3 shows in 24 hours. Me and Juju was here last night.
That was a great show, the ECU AD.
John Gilbert.
He's such a good guy, man.
Great guy. I didn't realize the Lenore Ryan connection.
Yeah, he's LR, right? Yeah, absolutely.
And played there back in the 80s. Juju said he's about 10 years behind us, so that would put him close to your age.
Yeah, 28, 29.
Yeah, not quite 30, but getting there. I mean, that's the important thing, to know that you're getting there.
Holy cow, dude.
So we appreciate him joining. And, you know, we were talking about last night, I wouldn't want to be in his shoes, facing the things that they're going to have to face. But, you know, he was very honest and upfront with his answers to the questions that we had.
Well, y'all did a good – I mean, that was a really well-conducted, well-thought-out, like, interview type thing.
Let me straighten that out for you from the beginning, okay? Good morning, Milton, Richie, and Brian. Juju comes in, and he has his prep sheet.
Oh, yeah. No, he's got – no. I know that. But
Lanny comes in. I've done radio. I've always done radio.
Right.
I don't –
It's off the cuff. It's the thought of the moment. I understand. What I'm saying is the way that you and Juju – like when Juju went into his part, this just segueing into the next question. I mean, it was very informative.
He's more methodical than I am. I'm asking the questions off the cuff,
right? And
depending upon how they respond, can I go a little deeper?
The next one, right? Yeah.
It was that's what I call plays too.
No, that's right.
You know,
that's right.
It goes
that's
back
right.
to that.
That's right.
It goes back to the old coaching.
There was so much that was learned, you know, by the questions and his answers. There was a lot of like clarity on certain situations and why he thought or why the certain situation is what it is. He sounds very, very practical. I know he's a good guy. I know that.
And he spent 8-9 years at Alabama.
Yeah, you know, he's very practical. Yeah. And the thing that I like is there's starting to be that concern for the we say student athlete, for the people that attend the university that play sports, right? We're
really not looking after them.
Right. Well, you know, it's all about, let's get in this football conference. But then, you know, I can tell you coming back at 3 in the morning, you know, and then somebody saying, you better be at your 8 o'clock class. You know, I did it. But, you know, at what point do you sacrifice your health just to show up to something, right? That can be avoided to some degree. There's certain things that happen in life. You need to have challenges and things come up that you have to deal with. But every weekend when you travel, no.
Yeah.
I'm talking about minor sports.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
You know, and people say non-revenue. I don't think that's fair because the sport is what it is and the following is what it is.
But the bad part about it is that's what everything's based on, that revenue model.
But
regardless.
It hasn't, to your point, it hasn't been for those sports. It's only been about football's revenue, but the experience – the relationships that I formed at East Carolina with my friends, the people I became friends with or acquaintances with, you know, I can go to a sporting goods store, for example. Let's just say I go to Cook's in North Wilkesboro, right? Great place, good people, good friends. Well, they'll say, we're heading to so-and-so, like we're heading to Asheville High. Well, you know, like 4 or 5 years ago, my roommate in college is the AD up there. You know, I mean, what I'm saying is it's not because you know everybody. It's the relationship, and you mentioned that before. And I just felt like he's a relationship guy. Yeah. And Juju really brought that, I think, out last night. Such an people need to go back and watch that if they missed. You know, if they were able
the
to
other side of it
was really good.
That you know, Juju. A couple of questions that Juju asked because he had the background knowledge was one of them. It's almost Lenore Ryan East because there are people, Mike Houston, Donnie Kirkpatrick, that knew him.
Clarence.
And he talked about that. Went back to Clarence Stasevich, and there's another coach that was at Lenore Ryan that went down there too.
Yeah, it was. It was another football.
Yes, it was another football.
Yeah,
coach.
Not how.
It wasn't Painter.
No. Gosh, I'm going through all the baseball stuff in my head right now. Oh gosh, I'm
gonna look it up.
Well, anyway, it's an incredible. You know, it's just an incredible lineage there. Yeah. And the connection, like Juju said, between East Carolina and Lenore Ryan is it's not only interesting, hell, it's fascinating.
And they've poached a few coaches from Lenore Ryan.
In soccer.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
But let's see, Coach Stasevich was one. Let's see, there was another one.
Nothing's jumping off the page.
Go back up to the top.
Well, other than Mike Houston.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, but Houston and Coach Stasevich, but there's another one. Hold on.
I don't know. Somebody else will have to help me with that.
Well,
I can't find
not Ed Emery.
Morning, Andrew.
Well, anyway, Juju.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, that was one of the things. And then, one of the other things that we were talking about, Juju asked him the question that you got to ask is, they go to Michigan.
Yeah.
What was your thinking when you scheduled it? And he said, well, 4 years ago when I came, it sounded great. He said, it still sounds good,
yes,
but it's a $1.8 million payoff. And he said, that helps all of our other programs.
That's great.
And the exposure to play in the big house.
You need to play. You need to play that competition. You've got to get out there because it is a recruiting tool.
Yeah.
You bring a kid in and say, look, we know you've been overlooked by this ACC school, right? We want you here with us. We think you're going to do well, and these are the teams that we're going to play, and you're going to get that experience coming through here. Plus, you're going to get quality coaching, and then, it's up to you to grow and develop, but we're going to guide that. That's what Mike Houston does, so well. It's not up to him for the growth and development of the player. It's ultimately up to the player. But the guide, it's kind of like raising kids, right? You help guide those children, you help correct, you help enhance.
Right.
He does those things with the players, and he does it by the way he surrounds them with the resources and that accountability that is so important.
Yeah.
And that recruiting tool, going to the big house, that was one of App's greatest recruiting tools for, several years afterwards.
But the biggest reason is because they went up there and won. That
didn't
didn't hurt either.
The opportunity presents itself. Let me tell you something. I don't care if Alabama's playing Western Carolina. It's still 50-50 whether you win or lose. You're going to win or you're going to lose. That is 50%. Now, the favor of you winning may be higher if you're Alabama against Western, right? But the point is it's still 50-50 because it's one result or the other. Everybody's chances are half-baked. We're all in the same boat. It's just preparation and, development leads you to a more positive outcome in those things. Anything you do.
You being an ECU alum without getting on the what I'll call smart-ass side.
No, it's fine.
I asked him last night, I said, why? You've been there for 4 years. In my opinion, ECU brings a ton to the table, fourth largest in the North Carolina system.
Used to be third.
Yeah. Well, them in Carolina, just a couple hundred students apart.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's just right there.
It used to be, NC State, Carolina, ECU.
Well, it's State, Charlotte, and then Carolina and ECU.
Yeah.
But my question to him was, why is it that I felt like, and I have no connection to ECU at all, other than Lindsay got her master's there, ECU has always kind of been treated as a stepchild in sports.
Yes.
And I think it's because the Big Four,
No, that's true.
The Big Four want to kind of ignore that they were there, but the stadium's 50+.
Yes. It's filled up a lot of Saturdays.
And it can't, they're like other schools. An Appalachian is the same way now. If they got the opportunity to be considered as a major university in the state, I think they would grow as well. And we talked about last night all the realignment. And to answer your question, Richie, yes. And Chad and Andrew, good morning. We did talk realignment, but the other thing that we talked about, and the last question that I asked him was, he thinks we're going to get to the point to where we're football-only conferences.
Yes, we will be.
And then everything else is regional because it doesn't make sense. And I made the point that these schools that pick up an extra $10 million on a TV deal, like a Southern Cal or UCLA, they're going to spend more than that flying the volleyball team to Rutgers.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're going to eat that up, or they're going to have to cut sports.
Yeah.
Some athletics.
No, I agree. So to answer the first part of it, it's really not the Big Four; it's the Big Two.
State and Carolina.
No, State and Duke. ECU can go in and whip their rear end at any time okay, at any time. I watched one of the greatest college football games probably ever played in the South, okay, in 1992 at the Peach Bowl when ECU came back and beat NC State. I was there. Okay, that's when we were really good at football. We finished 9th in the country. Would have been a top 5 team if we had not been beat by Syracuse. So I think like 7-0 or 6-0.
That was in 92?
91 season, 92 Peach Bowl. Right, it was on New Year's Day.
Bill Lewis?
Yep, Coach Lewis. And then he went to Georgia Tech after that, and then Steve Logan, who was the quarterback coach, came out. But the point being, there is a great divide, or has been for years, between letting East Carolina and NC State. A very intense rivalry. Goalposts have been taken down at stadiums. Those kind of things. Oh, these renegades over here. This. Well, that's what you do. You start demonizing when you don't like what the competition's doing. The ones that are being affected the most are the ones that scream the loudest, right? Just start screaming. Because they know they don't have a defense, and that's the last resort is try to scare people away.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Baseball, no problem. Football, it's back and forth. Basketball is where the issue is with ECU and the other ACC schools. It is. But Virginia Tech had that same issue until they were in the ACC, and then they had no choice but to step up their basketball program, which they did. Okay. Into that ACC style play for basketball. Their football and baseball was fine. Same thing at ECU. So if they ever were to make that, then the basketball will step up immediately. And I will tell you that Greenville, North Carolina, it's hotter than 7.
We talked about that yesterday.
It's really
too.
hot there. I just want to say that. Okay, I lived there for like 25 years when I was going to school for those 4 years. All right, so or a little bit longer. And the point is, they have unlimited resources down there because of where they're located. Land is not an issue. Acquisitions of
med school, dental school.
The med school started the first year I was down there.
They used to be huge for nursing.
Yeah, and it was kind of like, oh, that's medical school. Look at that one. Let me tell you something. It evolved over a 7-year period into being one of the best ones in the country. And I will tell you, I went down there, and medical school was my idea. Couldn't do that and play baseball, right? Made the decision. I love science, stay in exercise science, learn about the human body. I love the biological side of things, the study on cadavers, things like that, right? So I ended up going the exercise science route, got my teaching degree with it, because I want to be a teacher and coach if I wasn't going to be like a doctor, right? I want to do, I enjoy that. I still do to this day. I was fully prepared when I left that place to go out and teach, fully prepared. Student teaching, we had 3 different models we had to go through then, a semester long model.
I
was fully prepared.
Lynn's got her master's down there because she went to Chapel Hill, and you cannot get a teaching certificate. You get a degree in your major. So she had an English degree, and then she went to ECU and got the master's in education, so she gets certification.
Well, no, that's great. And I follow, it's really interesting being down there, Lanny, and kind of being down there, because you're only about an hour, 15, 20 minutes from Raleigh now, the way the roads are. You're not far at all. It's a very unique and very diverse community in a very together type place. And, people make jokes, oh, you actually graduated from ECU, things like that. Were you a nerd? I was like, well, I wouldn't say that. But, the point is, it's always been looked at as, well, it's easy there. And let me tell you something. That was some of the most challenging times for the things that professors did for us, in preparation. That's why I think you see so many great players coming out of there because of the experience. And whether they go on to a professional career or whatever in sports, they go on to be professionals because of the training and the relationships. And I will tell you, the nightlife down there is one that it's hard to be rivaled. Yeah. I mean, it's very enjoyable, and, it's a lot of fun and, all that. But at the same time, everything has its place.
Bob said there's a guy named Marion Kirby. That that graduated from Lenore Ryan that did some coaching down there. Now, Marion Kirby,
he went
just
to
passed
high
away.
School football, I believe.
He's the architect of Greensboro College football.
Yes, and did he not coach high school football at like Page or No, it wasn't. Wait a minute.
I'm looking. Greensboro College, but I thought he was. Because he was a 4-time state champion at Page.
Okay, yeah. Okay, just messed up. Yes,
it's awful. I had to go to his obituary to get the history there.
No. But that's a great man too. Did so much. I think he was like 80. No, he was like 79 or 80.
He was 80 when he passed away.
Okay, yeah.
But he was still at Greensboro College, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
he's, really, really.
Thank you, Bob, for that. Chad said hall crawls were challenging at ECU. Richie said the few people I know from ECU have the "you" are either with us against us mentality, and you do. You went to ECU.
Yeah,
I hate everybody.
I hate everybody because what was really cool though is, do you remember Scott Cherry that played on the Carolinas national championship team? He was a tall redheaded kid. He was a off the bench player. He's number 11. Mm-hmm. Is Richie listening? Mm-hmm. Okay, Richie knows exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So they won a national championship, I think, in like 93. So he moves down to Greenville when he graduates. Mm-hmm. And he gets a job, I think, with pharmaceuticals doing something there. A few companies were popping up down there, right? And I think he was in sales. Well, I saw him out one night. Me, man, I'm going to go talk to anybody. I don't care. I ain't bothering nobody. Just say, hey, man, So I go up to him and I say, he's sitting there. I said, dude, let me see the ring, please. He's like, sure. He takes it off, shows it to me. Well, I start talking to him. And he was very friendly. He didn't care. He's just hanging out or whatever. And, I wasn't bothering him or anything. We was talking about stuff. And he knew a couple of the people that I had known, in the sports there, a couple guys, baseball. And, of course, my cousin was the head groundskeeper there for 30 years, Tommy James. And so he knew Tommy, which is my dad's age. He's, older. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so we're talking everything. Well, next thing I know, we kind of, after about 3 or 4 weeks, see each other out or whatever, we start becoming friends and, just whatever. He said, he said, we came down here one time, I think it's like to practice or something like it, just unannounced, or they just came in and practiced to get, early against ECU or something, just whatever, right? And he said, I really enjoy being here. He said, this place is like the people here, the students, he said, this is just a great community. And he said, the one thing that I understand why people feel the way they do now is why are they being excluded? Mm-hmm. He said, I see that now because this place is greater than, Chapel Hill.
The Big Four didn't want any spotlight taken away from that part of the state.
So they killed them and out. You kill the two extremes, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or try to. Yep. Well, but cat's out of the bag. Things are eventually going to roll over. Anyway, good times. Right?
Let me take a break, and then when I come back, we'll take a look at some high school football lineups for tomorrow night as high school football gets underway. It actually gets underway tonight with some games.
Yeah.
They like to be spotlighted because they're having competition. People can go tonight and go tomorrow night. So,
and so for no JV games, like some schools don't have JV games this week, and so that's really neat. They're playing on Thursday.
We'll take a break and back in a moment.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940.
And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
And welcome back. God, it's nice outside. It says 75. I don't know if it's 75.
Oh, it was, hey, man, it was nice coming out this morning.
Yeah. I'm ready for some of that weather. And fall's just around the corner.
I felt like it was in the 60s at
it was 65 this morning.
Okay, I was up at like 5, like 4, 5, something like that, and took the dog out, and man, I was like, wow, this is
yeah, I get
a little bit of a teaser for the fall, right?
Stephen, good morning. I'm going to look at some 2A right now. Reidsville is the number 1 team in the 2A state.
That's fair.
They'll take on Western Alamance. And I'm just looking at 2As, just kind of scanning down through here. Clinton, the Dark Horses, they'll take on Northside Jacksonville.
That'll be a great game.
Community School of Davidson takes on the Hickory Hawks. Is that a homeschool team?
It is.
Okay.
It is, and I think Coach Ruark is coaching them. Jim Ruark, I think that's right, from when he was at East Lincoln all those years ago.
That's right. Mike Bice went to
Coach
Lincoln
Bice.
Charter.
Yeah, now Coach Bice is at Lincoln
Another
Charter.
East
so
Lincoln.
That'll be exciting, to see how that unfolds.
James Keenan, you'll recognize him from down east. They're 19.
Yes.
They get underway tomorrow night. Owen takes on Inca. Now, that's is Inca 3A, 4A?
They're 3A.
They're 3A.
Yeah.
Owen's still 2A. MacDowell takes on RS Central.
Not real exciting.
Lakewood takes on Spring Creek. The only reason I mentioned Lakewood is I had to make one freaking trip down there. It is the other side of Fayetteville by about 30 minutes, and went down there in a playoff game and just got shellacked. South Caldwell takes on West Caldwell. Is South a 3 or 2?
No, they're
3 or 4.
I want to say they're 4, I believe. No, wait a minute.
Chad will know.
Hold on. They keep bouncing. Them and AC keep bouncing. Golly.
Chad, are they 3 or 2?
No, they're not.
I mean, 3 or 4.
Yeah,
I'll get it out in a minute. I'm looking at 2A, and that's why I keep coming back to that.
I want to say they're 4.
West Henderson plays Newton Conover. Lincoln plays South Point. And I'll tell you, I've had some folks to say, don't be surprised if Lincoln pulls that off, because Lincoln is pretty good this year.
I think they're going to be much improved. They had some good younger players over the last couple of years that I saw, in JV and a couple in varsity. I think I think they will surprise some people. But the team, Laney, that I really think is going to surprise people with all the seniors that graduated last year is West Lincoln.
Yeah, and we'll get to
believe in that.
Freedom, Bunker Hill.
Like Bunker Hill.
I do too.
I like them. Now, Laney, they
I
can
picked
score.
Bunker over Freedom.
By like 50 points. Bunker Hill can move the football in multiple ways.
They were pretty young, so they
very
still got
young.
a lot of return.
One kid on offense. Mm-hmm. One kid. That's all they lost. Number one. Okay. Great player. They moved the ball after coaching against them, for the last 2 years, especially twice last year, right? They moved the ball effectively. Quick passing game, all right? Delayed passing game some. Inside zone, all right? They got big boys up front. They know how to zone block, all right? If you don't layer it defensively, if you don't layer it and move your front, then they're going to pick you, with a cutback, okay? I like the way they do it. Defensively, they're extremely aggressive. Their two inside linebackers are very, very smart, heady players. So an offensive scheme, what's going to happen is the offensive schemes, a lot of people are going to focus on those two inside guys because they're so active, but they're discounting the four guys up front. Those guys up front are good. It's going to be interesting.
Well, their job –
and their DBs are solid.
If I were coaching, their job up front would be to occupy and not let anybody get down on those linebackers that can move and slide and read.
I agree, Laney.
That's the way
they're
I
solid.
coach it.
Yeah, no, they're solid.
Richie and Chad both said they are 4A. South Caldwell is 4A.
Okay, yeah, right.
Thank you, guys. Yep. And I'll get to that comment in a minute, Richie. Let me run on through these scores. Backyard Buddies, East Burke and Patton. They play tonight.
East Burke by 40.
Bavard plays Pisgah. Maiden plays Ford at home. And then I think Maiden's on the road.
No,
Watauga at home, and then they're on the road for about 3 weeks.
So Maiden plays Ford. Open next week.
Okay.
Which is crazy. Normally open after. Open next week. Watauga at home, and then go to Saint.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I knew this on the road for a little bit. Polk County and Madison. Bandy St. Stephen's. Bandy's has struggled over the years.
I think they were a little better last year than what their record showed. I like.
And Saints an improved team too.
Let me tell you something. Kyle Lohman, I really, even when he was a player in high school, I really like his dad. Like great Trent too. I mean, I think Kyle was. I say this. If St. Stephen's wasn't the toughest team last year that I had to prep for as a defensive coordinator, I would say that maybe Reedsville. All right, but Kyle's ability to understand different concepts and then trying to play chess with that was a lot of fun. Okay, it's very challenging, and I really like the way that he has progressional things that he teaches his players in the way they go about the way they play. And it's like every day they're stacking bricks. And, they are working on the things and addressing the matters most important to the kids. And I didn't see any negativity on that staff or on that sideline the whole night that we played them. That's very rare in high school football. Yeah. Okay? And I saw a lot of interaction with the players, a lot of passion, and a lot of acceptance and receptive, things from the kids. If St. Stephen's gets on a roll with what they have in that community, it could get very interesting over the next 5 to 7 years in this county with St. Stephen's football.
Chad says that Freedom cannot move the ball. And who's the head coach of
was it the boy that played at Maiden, Justin Hahn? Is he still the head coach? I think
that's right. And I don't. That's who I was thinking. It was a local connection.
Shelby. Yeah, he played he coached at Shelby, I think. Before
yes, he did.
I didn't coach him, and when we were not living here, when I was a football coach at Madison and up at Irwin, I think it's when he came through. So we weren't living here, but every indication I got, great guy. Works hard with the kids. They're just, they're just trying to work some things out.
Bessemer City, East Rutherford. That could be a long night for the Yellow Jackets. That's a 1A, 2A.
Hell, East didn't have a football team 2 years ago.
I know.
You remember that?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
This should be a pretty good game. Number 4 Burns plays Forest View.
Yes.
And Mount Pleasant. You're familiar with them? They play Carson.
That'll be good.
North Lincoln, West Lincoln. West Lincoln is ranked 23rd.
Okay.
I picked the upset. I guess it would be. I picked North Lincoln because I think North's going to be. West Lincoln has got. I think it's going to take West Lincoln a couple of weeks to get their offense defined and dialed in because they lost so many kids.
Well, and David Avery was the AD, and he's the offensive coordinator. Of course, the head coach is a great guy, Darren Ponder.
Yeah.
When I left Madison, he became the head coach at Madison. I've known Darren a long time. Great guy. He's from Madison County. Was a coach at Mitchell forever. Defensive coordinator, AD. That's a really good combination, those two. David is, and I haven't talked to him about this, but from what I just observe and listen and read and watch and, whatever, they will be making a transition from a fullback-laden offense where Mason, his son, who's just a tremendous player and young man, now at Wingate, where the fullback was the main focus of the offense, right? I think you'll see more with the kid that's the tailback. I think we'll see a little bit more tailback involvement this year out of West Lincoln, which will make them a little more dynamic in the open field with what you do with the tailback versus what you do with the fullback.
Well, like I say, the only reason I'm picking that one, not taking anything against from West Lincoln.
No.
North Lincoln didn't lose as many as West did.
Right.
And I think, as you said, it's a philosophical change.
It is.
And that's why it's going to take a little bit more and a little bit longer to kind of get that dialed in, but that's why you do preseason.
Right, and I think David and of course Darren did a really good job with their JV kids getting prepped for this, as those kids are moving up. And what I mean by more dynamic, I'm talking about in the open space dynamic stuff. They were very dynamic in what they did.
Yeah.
Between the tackles and off tackles.
It's a philosophical change.
Right.
But they're doing it based on the available talent, and that's what you do.
Which is smart coaching.
That's exactly
right.
Okay,
it's very smart
Utilize
coaching.
what you've got in resources.
And I'm a big fan of theirs, and I really like Coach Basil as a coach and a person at North Lincoln. And I think that may be a game that people want to go see.
I think that'd be a great game.
Yeah. On the new turf, right?
It looks good. I was up there making sure we had all our stuff.
Are they at West?
Yeah.
This week?
And West has a fence. They were able to put a fence up around their field because they don't have a track.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
The other schools don't have fences anymore. And I thought that was a state thing. Behind the middle school. There was a big area, and that's where the middle school plays football, and they put the track down there.
I remember that. I forgot.
Yep.
That's great.
When I was in high school, we didn't have a track. Everything was away. We had no track.
Right. We used to have practice at the old high school out in the parking lot.
That's right. That's right.
Just go play wherever. Just do your track stuff wherever. Yeah, I remember.
Shelby plays Kings Mountain. Shelby's ranked number 8. I never pick against Shelby. I'm sorry, Kings Mountain's good, but I never pick against Shelby.
That'll be a good one.
And right here is the reason that East Rutherford didn't have football is because number 10, Chase, they'll be traveling to Mountain Heritage, and all the players went to Chase, from what I understand, in Rutherford County, and that's why did they just have JV?
They had some issues with who was coaching and who wasn't, and the kids just said, and they allowed them to do that in that county.
Yeah. So Thomasville, Randleman, number 15, Hendersonville hosts North Henderson, number 11, East Surrey. And that's where Trent is.
Oh, absolutely.
They travel to Robbinsville.
That's great.
Forest Hills down outside Monroe will travel to Ashbrook. North Gaston, East Gaston. That's one I thought was a coin flip. I think I picked East Gaston on that one. North Davison travels to number 6, Salisbury.
We'll see.
We'll see how that one goes. That's your 2A lineup. Let me jump up to 3A and see. I know I can tell you, and I can't remember if it's at home or away, Cherryville plays Avery, but I can't remember which way that goes. Cherryville and Avery. I want to say they go to Avery.
They go to Avery.
Okay.
I talked to a guy that I used to coach at Avery that teaches at the high school, and he said that Avery's quarterback is hurt. He's a really good player, good body kid, potential collegiate, maybe not quarterback, but that type of body. And I'll tell you, those Avery County kids, I coached up there for a year, and I tell you, man, there's some athleticism running in that, running in those hills, man. Those kids are, I tell you what, man, that could be a really. really interesting hot spot.
And I'm going to get to that one, Chad, in my 3As, and you see if you like my pick. Steven says that North Lincoln's got a young running back that's going to be a Wingate kid.
Yeah, Shannon Wingett's boy. Steven played with Shannon Wingett, who, we coached him at Maiden, and Steven played with him, and his kid is he's a big – you know what he is? He's a baby bus with some height.
Yeah.
He's a little, kind of like, remember Cedric Shuford?
Yeah.
All those years ago at Maiden?
Yep.
A little bit taller, kind of got that same, moxie in
Biggest
there.
thing that I remember about Cedric that he didn't do, he ran straight up. I mean, he still could punish people, but he ran straight up.
Yeah,
if he had got down behind his pads,
he didn't lean.
No, he ran straight up.
Lean. And he drag him.
Here's an early matchup: Page and Dudley. Tonight.
Okay.
Or tomorrow night. Dudley a number 9 in the 3A.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Kings Mountain is ranked really high in the 3A. I might be wrong.
I'll see when we get here,
or something like that.
I still say it's hard for me to pick.
No, I'm not saying. But what I'm saying is, they've had some really good battles the last 3. Well, I mean, throughout the years, but especially
Lake Norman Charter plays South Lake Christian. South Lake Christian has just kind of got their program restarted.
Yep.
They did not do real well in the Jamboree, from what I understand.
No, they're
that
still
was
working
up here.
on it.
Reidsville plays number 24 Western Alamance, but Reidsville's number 1 in the 2A. Western Alamance 24 in the 3A.
That was a great game. I watched that game on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
They have a replay on it, and Western Alamance was really good.
Kings Mountain's number 1 in the 3A.
Number
1 3A playing number 8 Shelby out of 2A.
It's going to be a good one, man.
And it's at Kings Mountain. I just can't pick against Shelby. It's just really hard for me to pick against Shelby. West Henderson is a number 23 3A against Newton Conover. That game's tomorrow night. Smoky Mountain Cherokee, that ought to be a good one. Cherokee's still 1A?
Oh, yeah.
So that's a 3A against a 1A. Smoky Mountain against
they'll
1A.
go. Yeah. Is Smoky Mountain 3A now? Yeah, I guess they are.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the 3A stuff because Cherokee's a 2A.
Because they dropped to 2A for
a 1A,
while.
yeah.
But Cherokee, and that's always been a big rival. Since Smoky Mountain, I say always, since they combined with, who was it, Cullowhee and Civil Webster.
Right.
Yeah, but that's been a big deal.
This will be a great game at Crest. Gaffney comes to Crest. Gaffney is a small college. I remember going there and doing a game. That's where Limestone used to play, but Gaffney's like a small college team. I mean, they're phenomenal. That'll be a great game to open season. And this is the one Chad was talking about, and I think it'll be a great game. High Brighton and Hickory, I'm picking the Red Tornadoes.
Oh, I'm picking Hickory by 30.
Yeah, I'm picking the Red Tornadoes.
Oh, yeah.
Drawn goes down to Hunter Huss. Drawn may come out with a win on that one as well.
They got to replace Drawn's biggest issue, and these are guys that I grew up with that are coaching there, in the Valdez area, right? Talking to them, they got their skill kids back. The issue is they lost their line. So it depending on how and that's a big deal, Landon, and you know that as well as anybody. If they can get some things going line play wise, they feel like that, or they think that things could get pretty interesting again.
This is one that Kiever questioned me on my pick. We, as a group of us, do high school picks.
Yeah,
here.
I did mine.
And it's number 4, East Lincoln, traveling to Kramer. My only concern is East Lincoln still got that rabid defense they had last year, lost a lot of offensive weapons, and even Coach Lubowitz made the comment, we got to get settled in on a quarterback because the offense is dramatically different, much like Maiden.
Yes.
It's dramatically different, much like West Lincoln, dramatically different from last year.
Oh, yeah.
And I picked Kramer. I picked Kramer over East Lincoln. That's non-conference, but we'll see. I just I wasn't sure. This would be the surprise of the night. Lincoln takes on South Point at Lincoln, and some of the scuttlebutt is don't be surprised if Lincoln can pull that one off.
Yeah, they're going to play well.
I'm not sure that's an awful lot here early.
Yeah,
but I know they'll be vastly improved.
That offense that they run at
Kramer?
No, at South Point.
Oh, at South Point, Redbone. It's wing T is all it is. It's wing T, much like Shelby does it. They just and here again, when you take a team and you take a coach and they modify and adapt. You know, we struggled at West Lincoln because we wanted to run the pure Delaware Tubby Reigns wing T, didn't have the horses to do it, but we needed it because of the misdirection side. We just didn't adapt enough, in my opinion.
And that's very fair.
Inter-county matchups, South Iredell, North Iredell, East Rowan, North Rowan.
Franklin Murphy will be a huge game.
Yeah.
Is that who that is?
Franklin Murphy. Yep.
Yeah.
At Franklin. Let's see. Ford Maiden. I don't know what Michael's done at Ford, and I know that, again, Maiden, like West Lincoln, it's a total rebuild offensively to try to figure out your identity because you don't have the same weapons that you had. And East Lincoln.
You know, every year you're either rebuilding or you're reloading, right?
Yep.
And, you know, when you have a lot of kids that graduate, you know, Maiden, West Lincoln, right, you know, then you have to take a look and it's going to be some trial and error. There's going to be a lot of things that will be figured out the first 2 to 3 weeks, you know, and then, you know, some of the questions on one side of the ball may be answered very quickly. And then on the other side of the ball, you're like, what are we going to, you know, how are we going to address this? And it takes some time. You know, you can't do everything in the offseason because there's not measurables in the offseason like there are in direct competition.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why patience and, I think, you know, one of the things that who Chad played for in high school in basketball and baseball and Coach Lanford is he was very good not only in preparing a team and keeping them mentally focused and running a tight ship, but his adaptation to build each week, each day, you know, whether it be practice or a game, is one of the things that my dad would always talk to me about, you know, as somebody that wanted to be a coach. You know, these are the guys that you need to watch. The Dickie Fosters, you know, the Fred Lanfords. You know, my dad would tell me this when I was young. You know, this is a guy that, you know, that is able to build his team not only from the start of the season but throughout the season to give them the greatest opportunity, to finish strong. And Coach Lanford, if Chad's still on here, he can tell you, they not only did that in basketball, but they were very effective in baseball as well in doing that same thing. And, you know, there's just, you know, that's so important. And, you know, I think Trent does a good job of that at East Surrey. You know, I know Kyle's going to do a great job here, you know, at Saint. And, you know, Coach Glass at Hickory, I can see him implementing those things with his team. And I watched some of the Ford film, and they have a very good running back. Quarterback looks to be very adequate. Okay, I'm not familiar with who they are, just what they do. Watching them defensively, I think there's some things they're going to have to shore up. But it was early in the year. They were scrimmaging West Caldwell and Cherryville. You know, Maiden, you know, has got some things, you know, to figure out because they got younger players. That's okay. Kind of like you said with West. The interesting side of things to me is how – the kids will respond not only at Maiden but at West, and you know these against abnormal type results early on, and you know how that's handled through the staff, right? You know, because it's a process and it's all about guiding and developing, and we will see how those things unfold.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see, and that's why I say I think it takes a couple of weeks to get things dialed in.
Yeah.
Now, you were asking about why football tonight, okay? High school football.
Right.
They used to do this at the Charlotte 49er Stadium, but this will be at Memorial Stadium. This is a doubleheader. Okay. First game is Cox Mill and Weddington. That's number 21 against number 5 at 5:15.
Oh, God.
And then Independence Mallard Creek. That's at 8 and 9 at 8 o'clock
tonight.
At Memorial Stadium. Yeah, I remember Mooresville played.
Awesome.
Mooresville played in a thing like that was at Charlotte, and I went down. That's when I was still doing games for Mooresville. And went down and did a game down there, and they did the same sort of thing. And they make a big production out of it, and that's why it's going on tonight. It's the only game, I know of.
That's a great. I mean, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
it's a great kickoff.
That's right.
You know, to high school.
Well, like
football,
you do with, they do the Monday night kickoff in college football on Labor Day. You know, same kind of thing. Now there's a few other. Let me give you some 4A games that are going on. North Meck, Lake Norman. Yes, sir.
One of the Forsyth schools. The one that's been pretty good the last couple of years is it East or what? No, West.
They're
West
3As.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember coming
but
through those.
West or East should be really good this year.
Yeah.
I think they're 4A. They should be really good again.
A.L. Brown plays West Rowan. That's neighbors. West Cabarrus versus Northwest Cabarrus. Now, this is a big game down east. Neither one of these teams are ranked, but they perennially are big teams. New Hanover and J.H. Rose.
Those two, okay.
But they're not ranked in the top 25.
So is Rose 4A again, or are they
I think
3A?
so.
Okay, so Rose, one of those two will be in the Final Four.
Yeah.
In the 4A. Down in the eastern, I'm talking about the eastern part of the state. They'll be in the Final Four.
Richie said Kings Mountain's 14th overall, all classes, but
Whoa.
number 1 in the 3A. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Charlotte Catholic at South Meck.
Yep.
Rocky River and Porter Ridge. Mooresville ranked number 15. Wow. They got a coach from West Rowan. Has really turned that program around.
Yeah.
They take on Davie. That's an annual thing. They travel up to Davie this year, up in Moxville, the only high school in Davie County.
Yeah, right.
Outside Moxville.
That'll be a big
Look at some of these other 4A's names. That you were talking about Southeast Guilford and Southern Guilford. Those are 4A's, but you were talking about Forsyth. I'll go back to that one.
East is going to be ranked.
The Butler takes on Roseville. Grimsley, number 1 in the 4A, takes on Mount Tabor.
God, they're so good.
South Iredell, North Iredell play.
Their quarterbacks
Asheville and Tuscola play.
Right.
71st and Richmond, 71st out of Fayetteville. A little down east game. Watauga hosts T.C. Roberson. West Caldwell, South Caldwell, we already talked about that one.
Why?
Alexander Central and Statesville.
Why is Richmond County? What has happened? Yeah, we drive through there on the way to beach, right? You kind of go through the bypass.
Rockingham.
Yeah, but you're sitting there and you're like, okay, they used to be like the class of all
yes,
whatever and I'm talking about in, they used to be that in baseball and football.
Yes.
Mike Thomas, who played at Carolina, was a two-way player, and I mean he played football. He's a quarterback and a punter. I think he's number 15. He's my age. And he also played baseball there, and just a phenomenal player. And Richmond had some great, many great years with runs, with their football and their baseball. And their Legion baseball down there Hamlet used to be amazing.
I drop back to 3A. You're talking about the Guilfords. It's number 22, Williams, takes on Northwest Guilford. But I think the one you're talking about is –
it's East Forsyth. I think they're 4A. They have a really good – they had a really good quarterback. Grimsley does too. Those two teams, those two 4A teams, may battle it out for depending on if they go East or West. But that's going to be interesting. That's pretty good football. There's no drop off there. That's serious.
All right, Northeast Guilford plays Ragsdale.
Yep, that'll be a good game.
And there's let me find my.
Are you on 3A or 4A?
Yeah, 3A.
I think
Eastern Guilford plays Northern Guilford.
But I'm talking about East Forsyth. I think they're 4A. I'm pretty sure they are.
I didn't see them.
They should be ranked. Hit the 4As and see if they're on there. But what I'm saying is them and Grimsley are like it's like small college.
Yeah,
it's like small college football.
We went down. Mooresville made it second or third round when I was still doing it, and we went down and did a game at Grimsley. And of course, Grimsley has 2 press boxes. They have one on each side of the stadium.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. I thought. I played one game there. You said Forsyth.
East Forsyth.
East Forsyth, number 3.
Yeah,
plays
okay,
Heritage.
that makes sense. They should be 4A.
And that is 4A.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yes, and they're ranked number 4.
Yeah.
And I thought I saw the other Forsyths. West Forsyth hosts AC Reynolds.
I don't think West is ranked this year.
They're not because they would show up here. I'm looking at the 4As.
Oh.
And they would show up here.
AC Reynolds will play Shelby in a week or 2.
Really?
Yeah. So Shelby be going up there, and Reynolds beat them last year.
Mm-hmm.
But Reynolds is. that is like small college football too. I remember when I was at Irwin, we scrimmaged AC Reynolds. Golly, dude, they come in there, they put 11 on.
Mm-hmm.
They come out there and just wear us out. Then those 11 would run off over there, and they were done for the day. Okay.
Yep.
Then the defensive 11 come on, and they wear us out for about 10 plays. And then they go off the field, and then a whole new number 11 for offense would come out. That'd be the number 2s, and they'd wear us.
Josh Stewart, good morning. And you're right, honey, good morning. Of course, you're in school, so you're up now. A portion of our doodles came from Rockingham, a lady down in Rockingham. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
And used to be before the is it G.H. Kinley bypass? Ken Kinley's daddy?
Yeah,
GK, something like that. Right. Anyway, before that, you used to go 74 went right through Rockingham.
Oh, right through.
And there was like a Kentucky Fried Chicken or something on the corner, and you took a left and went up to Richmond County, and you could see Richmond County right there off 74.
Oh, yeah.
Just like Anson County.
Right.
You could see Anson County.
Yeah, you go right through Wadesboro.
But Anson County and Richmond County, those used to be huge powerhouses down through there.
Anson Bearcat football was like something to be reckoned with. You know, it was really, really good. They were 4A for a long time, in that conference with like Richmond and Scotland County. And, Scotland is one that was overlooked. I say overlooked. That's not fair. They were kind of, Richmond. Scotland was really good for a long time. And, now all three have just kind of –
I played with the kid. He was a wide receiver out of Scotland, played with him in the Shrine Bowl, and then he was on the east side, if I'm not mistaken, in the East-West game. Went to Duke and played wide receiver. Stephen Jones. Stephen was good.
Scotland's a big county, right? Yeah. I mean, Richmond's not real big in size, but used to be big in population and concentration. Scotland's kind of spread out like Madison and some of those.
Richmond, Anson, and Scotland, are they the only high schools in those counties?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
What's interesting is when you drive through Anson County, like you first get to Peachland, those kids drive 10 miles to.
Oh, I know.
And then you're driving outside of Wadesboro, and you keep going until you get to the river. It says, welcome, Richmond County. That's 10 miles the other way.
Yeah.
So if your girlfriend.
But there's no major population centers
there. And you
there.
live in Peachland, y'all are seeing each other at school.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. My wife says, I have a great idea, and, honey, I know you're getting used to me never being at home. You and Four need to be the voices of the Blue Devils and broadcast the games. Well, I got to have some days off, but we probably will do a game or two and put it out on the stream.
Heck yeah, man.
We'll do that. We'll do that. Thanks for the compliment. I know you're really getting used to not seeing me and not being there at all. But
he's doing a great job coaching the kids, too.
Just a great job. He
is,
excited.
Man. I've got video on. He's really good.
All I know is when I went to the first.
I love him.
When I went to the first practice, I remember leaving the house and I said, "I'll see you in November," because that's the way it works.
But I don't overdo it.
I know. I didn't
Monday,
say
Tuesday,
you did.
No. But what I'm saying is, I make sure that everybody's
social
and emotional health. That's very important. I don't care about nobody's feelings, but I care about people's social and emotional health. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't do it too much.
One quick thing before we get out of here, and just to get your comments, and I'm trying to figure out why it hasn't already happened. Just completely changing gears.
Right.
The cushion hats they put on the outside their helmets?
Yeah.
There's some discussion that linemen may start wearing those full-time even in games.
And
I'm trying to figure out why they don't wear them, period. If it helps and if it's a safety concern, why not make it optional? Or in high school,
it already is now in high school. You can wear
in high school, make it mandatory if you're trying to cut back on the concussions.
The thing about this is and I put a post out yesterday on like Nolan Ryan, in pitching and
I saw
like that. Okay, and I am all about safety, right? But I think and I don't think the cushion helmets are a bad idea. But what I want to make sure of is that when we make decisions, all right, that we feel like are in the best interest of kids instead of that we know that are, then everything is done in the name of safety. And, we're doing it for the good of this. Like the war on poverty started 60 years ago. How's that going? Okay? So the intent a lot of times is to help when, Laney, Tom Brown, out of so many things that Coach Brown said over the years that people would listen to, or just comments he would make, he got to the point where he was just sick and just concerned like everybody else about concussions with football. And I just remember him telling, I can't remember if he's telling Coach Parker or Coach Byrne, or maybe we're just talking in general in the coaching office for practice. But he said, if you want to get rid of concussions, just take the helmets off.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
You know, and then people get back to tackling with their shoulders. And, you know, of course you have eye injuries and things like that. But the point was, you know, there's a lot of, like, the helmets that were made. They're supposed to be made better. Well, what happened was players started using them.
Yeah.
Because it didn't hurt your head to hit.
Yeah.
Well, that was the whole point, was to keep the head from being injured. Now they started becoming human missiles. Will that start again when you start padding it? You know, because they've made great strides in the game as far as spearing.
Yeah, but now they watch it so much closer than they used to.
And my point to all of this, the bottom line point is, you try to de-risk as much as you can, but you can't fully protect in certain things in life without.
You said it in practice last night. Football inherently does have injuries.
Yeah, at some point you're going to get hurt.
There's just nothing
some point
you
you're
can do
going to get injured, right?
Yeah.
You have to accept that and just understand that I'm going to do my very best in doing this. And I think football is a way of hand-to-hand combat, right? And, you know, it's one of those things, too, that it keeps our country, you know, it's somebody's played football, knows how to use their hands.
Yeah.
Know how to use their feet, and they know how to fight a little bit.
Now,
and, you know, it's just one of those things that
Milton made a great point. The Rockingham area was destroyed by the economy when people lost jobs and left.
Yeah,
because it's a lot of textile related.
Moved over. Yeah,
now, Scott Scott said may have an issue with helmet liability. When I looked this up, the caps are made by a different company. They're not made by the helmet companies.
Right.
This is a Guardian. Scott Cloninger.
Guardian
protective helmet cover. It says that reduces impact up to 33% or a third. One size fits all. Works with both football and lacrosse helmets. Yeah. And Scott, I'll ask you this: would that be something that you could fit in your schedule and just? You've got a little more knowledge of that.
Oh, yeah, he's
and
really, yeah,
if you could come in, you're more than welcome to come in. I'd like to talk about that sometime, and I'd like to know why the helmet companies maybe haven't gotten into that as part of their helmet design.
You know, there's so much science now, and, you know, the technology is implemented, and I don't know if it's Coach Cloninger or not. There was a discussion. Maybe he was talking to one of our – I can't remember. Anyway – they were talking about just the new helmets that have been, you know, that were coming out, the ones that were projected, and they may have sensors or potentially, or, you know, be fitted for that and have, you know, feedback and all of this. And, you know, the goal is obviously player safety, but, you know, when you get to the NFL and people are earning a living, you know, there's risks that are involved. Yeah, and it's kind of like housing. You know, when a housing place goes up, you know, people may say, well, those lots aren't big enough. They have no yard. Well, if you're not buying a house in there, why do you care? You know what I'm saying? It's not that you shouldn't be have an opinion or be concerned about things, but is it really something that you need to be worried about if you're not directly involved in it? You should be aware, but should you be that passionate? Or are you just trying to make a name for yourself? Right?
And where I saw this was NFL executive hints that the Guardian caps could eventually be a part of linemen, linebackers, and tight ends with the Guardian caps. My question is, why is there only one manufacturer? Guardian's the only one I can find.
Well, they may have the patent on it.
Well, that's true too, but
and you know, it takes a while for those things to work themselves out.
Yeah.
I will tell you, we used them when I was at Maiden, and they were wonderful.
Yeah. $75 is what I saw.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't matter. They were talking about, well, you know, when they first came out, well, we're just going to get them for varsity. No. Everybody gets a Guardian cap.
Scott says his son Carson, who is a junior, if I'm not mistaken, Scott, at Lincoln, has a new helmet that technology is advanced in the Axion. Costs $700, but he said, I like the Guardian.
Oh, yeah. No,
yeah.
I think there's a combination of things because you truly can't take out all of the danger of really anything that's being done. You can try to protect and inform, but in the end, people have to be able to make decisions for themselves after being informed.
Yeah. Now, Richie said, speaking of the NFL, has Michael Orr blown through his earnings? I don't think he has. I'm just thinking that he may not have gotten what he thought he was going to get from the movie The Blind Side.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, it may be because this is a joke. Please, this is a joke. Let me preface it by it's a joke. Maybe dating Britney Spears and figuring out that, you can't have those conservative shifts. Okay? That is all for today. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you again sometime. Bye.